First up, 4 new Republican senators were sworn in this morning as part of the new freshman class. Joining the Senate in that group includes Republican Ted Cruz. He becomes the first Texas senator of Latino descent. Joining us now from Capitol Hill is freshman Republican Senator Ted Cruz. First of all, Mr. Cruz, many congratulations.
Well, thank you, Larry. I'm thrilled to be here, and this is a time of enormous challenge, and so it's a real honor to have the chance to serve right now and hopefully to make a difference, turning around the path of this country and getting serious about solving the fiscal and economic challenges we face.
I want to get to those fiscal and economic challenges in a minute, but there's a big news item today. You may be aware of it. President Obama, by executive order, is going to allow illegal immigrants to stay in the country if they have a spouse or a parent-child relationship. It's called the hardship waiver application. It may even be stretched a little bit. Is he on the right track with this kind of thing?
Well, I have not seen the details of the executive order, but I'll tell you this administration has engaged in a troubling pattern of trying to rule through executive fiat. The Constitution is very clear that legislation is entrusted to the U.S. Congress to pass. It is not entrusted to the President of the United States. And if President Obama wants to change the immigration laws, he should come down to Congress and he should push for immigration reform. He should not attempt to unilaterally change the law, violate the law, and violate the Constitution.
Because last summer, he, as you know very well, he waived deportation of the young kids who were brought in illegally. But doesn't the Republican Party have to deal with this in a more positive, constructive way? Not just language and rhetoric, sir, as you've done so successfully in Texas, but changing its own national policy on immigration?
There is no doubt that Republicans need to, number one, hold the line and remain serious about securing the border. But number two, we need to be a party and we need to be a country that welcomes and that celebrates legal immigrants who come here seeking the American dream. That's all of us, all of our parents fled oppression and came here seeking freedom. That's what unifies us, and we need to celebrate and champion that. All
right, let me go back to where you began, the economy and fiscal policy, and I appreciate your responses on the president's immigration policy. In almost rapid fire, Senator, you're going to get, this is going to be really fire by baptism. You've got to deal with the spending sequester. You're going to have to deal with a debt ceiling limitation, and you ultimately may have to deal with a government shutdown. I just want to get your quick take on this. What's your perspective as a freshman senator watching this whole economic story virtually disintegrate?
Right. I think we've got to get serious about fixing the problems. As you know, Congress just passed a deal on the fiscal cliff. In my opinion, it was a lousy deal. I would have voted against it. It was a lousy deal because, number one, it raised taxes by $620 billion. That's going to kill jobs. It's going to hurt small businesses. It's going to hurt Americans. But number two, those tax increases were not linked with spending cuts, as President Obama said every day on the campaign trail. They were linked with $330 billion in new additional spending. It makes the problem even worse, and it was irresponsible.
You know, if it came to it on the debt ceiling, would you, I know it's early, and I know you're not faced with this is all hypothetical, would you go with a government shutdown? I mean, after all, if there's no money, the government has to shut down. But debt ceiling shouldn't be automatic. There ought to be some discipline. Would you go for a government shutdown? I'm hearing a lot of that from my colleagues and friends in Washington.
I think we have to be prepared to go so far as to shut the government down if we don't get some serious policies to stop the out-of-control spending, to tackle the debt, and to get economic growth going again. You know, one of the reasons we got such a lousy deal on the fiscal cliff is the dynamic, as you know, with divided government is that whoever owns the default, whoever wins if there is no action, has the advantage. With the fiscal cliff, if we did nothing, there would have been a massive tax increase on every American. That gave President Obama the advantage because that's the policy outcome he wanted. And that's why we got a lousy deal. If you fast forward to the debt ceiling, that is the mirror image where I think the advantage is with fiscal conservatives, because if there is no action, the result will be a partial government shutdown. 40% of federal government spending will stop. We've seen that before. In 1995, Republicans in the House shut the government down, and the result was some political pain, but year after year of balanced budgets and some of the most fiscally responsible policies we've seen from Congress. We need to be willing to do that again in order to fix the problem.
Yeah, we had a couple of them during the Reagan years, you know, and you're absolutely right. It can be a very important bargaining tool, it can be a very important fiscal measure, and it can slow down spending. Anyway, Senator Ted Cruz from Texas, newly elected and sworn in. Thank you, sir. All the best on the new job.
I appreciate it, and I look forward to spending a lot of time visiting with you and your viewers.